Hey, want to play Solitaire Race for the Galaxy? Well, just download the Kelvin AI app and play on your computer. Oh, what's that? You work on a computer all day and you kind of want to be away from one at night? Actually hold some cards in your hand? Actually roll some dice? Oh, well in that case, you're going to want to play Race for the Galaxy with the Gathering Storm expansion and play against this evil guy over here, the robot. And I'm going to take you through that here in this video. Okay, so let's set up the game and look at the components that you're going to need, starting with cards. Well, you're going to need your 9 starting worlds per usual, all right? And then remember these guys, the action cards that you would normally use during the game, yeah, well, you don't need these are gone. And that's because you are playing the basic 2-player rules, which if you're not familiar, in the 2-player game, you will be choosing 2 actions per turn, not 1. And to do that in this game, you will use these 2 markers that you will place on this board. So you'll get to choose 2 actions using these markers. Then you'll need the credit marker for the robot, which is going to go up here in the credit track, and the economy marker for the robot, which goes up here on the economy track. Then you're also going to need, we've got these markers here which represent 6 size development cards, and depending on what level you're playing with, you can either play easy, medium, or hard by choosing 1, 2, or 3. So let's choose easy, and we'll just choose one of these and we will exclude these 2. Then of these are called mat counters. Well, these are called robot counters, and these are mat counters. Of these, you will need a certain number depending on which starting world you choose for the robot. So for example, let's say we chose good old starting world 0 here for the robot. We flip the map here and we look and see that the 0 starting world requires the robot with the $sign, this matching mat counter here with the 0 start world on it, and then you see the comma there? That means put this to the side. Okay, so we set the player mat up accordingly. We put the credit marker on 1 unless we have starting world 6 or starting world 2. We put the economy on 0 unless we have starting world 1 or 4, and then it would start there. The robot counter starts here, and remember the $1 starts with the times 2 off to the side. And then the player mat for this starting world, the 0 goes here. Okay, and then we have our action counters here. Now we're ready to play, so let's take a look at how a turn works. All right, per the usual rules, you will shuffle the starting worlds back into the deck. I'm not doing that for this demonstration, but don't forget to do that. And then you deal the robot 4 cards. This is going to be the robot's stack of cards. All right, and you always just deal them face down. So 4 cards to the robot, and then per the usual rules, deal yourself 6, and then keep 4 for yourself in your hand. So I've got my hand here in front of me, and this is the, or my tableau, and this is the robot's tableau over here. And then we're ready to start an actual turn. So a turn works like this. You each get to do 2 actions. You will choose your actions first by placing your 2 counters on the corresponding places here. So you can choose explore twice or develop twice or whatever. Then you'll roll the dice for the robot and put those down on the corresponding spaces. These have the symbols of all the corresponding actions plus a couple of specials. We've got the robot and we've got the asterisk. The robot means do whatever this says. So in this case, if I were to roll a robot, put it on the $sign. So I would just put it here. That would be the robot's action for this turn. Also, per the rules on this particular mat counter, this is telling me some things to do, which I'll go through in a second. But one of the things it's going to tell me to do is then discard this and bring this one in. So all of the robot starting worlds have a particular set of unique rules and a different flavor, which is pretty interesting. And then there's the asterisk. The asterisk says put this on the rightmost player action chosen. So let's say I decided to do this and then I wanted to develop. In that case, this is my rightmost action, so this would go here. If you roll double asterisk, then it'll just go under both of them. Pretty basic there. Okay. Oh, I should also mention, in the case where you choose to do the same action twice, then in that case, instead of putting it on the rightmost within here, you would put it on the first one of those two. Okay, just something to note. All right, so why don't we go ahead now and play through a sample turn so I can show you the rules and explain some of the iconography. I found when I learned it the first time, for several times, I would be going through the rule book fairly often. There's probably no avoiding that, but I can at least show you through a sample turn to explain how these icons work. All right, so let's say I decided to do the 1+1 explore and then to develop. So now we roll for the robot, and the robot rolls the robot symbol, which we said goes here on the $, and then the develop as well. So we come here and we always do player actions first. So I'm going to choose 3 and just keep any 2 of them. And then the robot, this is the primary action. If the robot selected the action, it didn't, so it's going to get the response. And the response is just to get a card to its stack. Very simple. So that's action 1. Then develop, me first. Let's just say I put a card out for 1 minus the 1 doesn't cost me anything. And then the robot. So now we have some of the fun iconography. All right, so what this is showing us here is the first thing you check to see is, does the robot have 2 credit? Okay, so we back up here. No, the robot only has 1. If the robot did have 2 credit, then it would get to build its 6 development marker, okay? Which, depending on what level you're playing, either counts as 6 or 9 points at the end of the game. So on the easy mode, I'm playing, the robot can build at most 1 of these, and it's worth 6 points. So right now the robot doesn't have 2 credits, so that will stay there. Otherwise, it'll just build it, just put it here, and it counts as 1 of the 12 cards on its tableau. All right, failing that, we come down here, and it says get a card, and then we're going to flip to find a development. Flip to find means, well, it's like this. Let me show you here. So I'm going to, first of all, give it a card to its stack. So that's the robot stack. Now we're going to flip to find a development, whether it's a 6 or it's a, or not a 6. So we flip this, we found a development 4 with the 2. So I'm going to put that over here next to the side. And then the robot is going to spend a credit to do that. If the robot didn't have any credit, we simply wouldn't do anything at all. Sorry, that's not exactly true. On a response, if the robot doesn't have any credit, you do nothing at all. On the primary action, the robot always gets to draw a card and fish for a development. Okay, so we each got our development action. Then we would come over to this special action here, and what this mat counter is telling us is increase the robot's credit by 2. Okay, so crap. So now he's got the magic number of 2 the next time he wants to develop something, and he'll be able to build this. There's no avoiding it. It's going to happen. And then give the robot 1 times its economy in victory points. Fortunately, it's still at 0, so nothing. And I should mention that you do get a pool of 24 VPs to start the game. So I like using the 3s. All right. Then at this point on this counter, it's telling us remove this robot counter and replace it with this one. So the next time the robot is rolled, it's going to get the ×2. And then it gets ×2 its economy and then increase its economy. Yeah, that's kind of nasty. While I'm here, I would like to, let's see how much I can zoom in. I would like to just have a word about some of this. This iconography up here gets kind of crowded. So let's see if I can show you what this is. So we have, up here we have the consume trade iconography, which is increase credit by 2, victory points times 1 economy, and then do what we just did. And then over here, this says 2 times victory points of the robot's current economy, and then increase the economy. Then what you have down here, this bit of business down here, is if the robot were to choose both of these. Maybe it rolled this, and then maybe it rolled the ×2. Oh, I'm sorry, the ×2 is actually also on this one. But maybe I chose the ×2 and the robot chose the asterisk. All right. If the robot were to end up with something like this, then you would look at this iconography. So in this case, if it chose both the consume trade and the consume VPs, give it 2 times economy, victory points, increase credit by 2, increase the economy. That's what that iconography down there is saying. Okay, so now I thought I would go through how all of the basic actions work without any mat counters on them, so that you can understand how the mat counters tweak them based on what these are here. Remember, the top row is for when the robot takes the action itself, either directly or with an asterisk, and then the bottom is for when the robot is responding. Okay, so explore. Primary action 1 is draw a card and then increase the credit by 1. Primary action 2, if it were to take both, would be to get 2 cards. And the response is just draw a card. The development action is a little tricky, a little intricate. The first thing you do, regardless of whether it is taking the action or responding, you have the same iconography here, you see, is that you look to see if it has 2 credits or more. If it does, it will spend 2 credits to build one of its available 6 development markers. That's why in the easy game they only have 1, because otherwise building them gets to be pretty easy during the game. So that's the first thing you look at. On the primary action, let's say it only has 1 credit. Okay, so that's not the case. So as a primary action, it will draw a card and then flip to find a development. If it finds a non-6 development, it builds it to its tableau for free. If it happens to find a 6, that sucks, then it must pay a credit to place it. Down below on a response, if it has no credit at all on the response, it's a wasted action, it doesn't do anything. Otherwise, it will flip to find a development, and even if it's a non-6, it must pay a credit to place it. Okay, same for this column. To settle, primary action is draw 3 cards, flip to find a non-military. No military. And then as a response, just like with develop, first you see if it has credit or not. If not, it's a wasted action, doesn't do anything. If it does have credit, it will draw 2 cards and flip to find a non-military, but it must spend a credit to place it, whereas it was free up here. Same again here. Then consume trade. To you increase the credit by 2, and then give it victory points 1 times economy. If it's consumed for VPs, it's give it 2 times economy in VPs, and then increase the economy by 1. And if it happens to take both, then 2 times VPs, increase credit twice, and increase the economy. So all of that. And then for produce, it will simply increase its economy by 1, and the response is nothing. Sorry, I skipped over this. The response, as you can see, is just 1 times economy in victory points.